This girl is really pitiful. Her mom passed away unexpectedly, and her uncle is trying to force her to sell the house she left behind. Hurry up and find the house deed. Don't be dragging your feet. I'm talking to you nicely here. Don't be acting up. The person's already dead. Am I supposed to just keep this rundown house until I pass away? The girl's resistance made the man angry, and he pushed her, causing her to fall on her face. Seeing that she might not be able to keep her mother's house, a look of hatred appeared in the girl's eyes. She quietly picked up a liquor bottle from the ground, but just as she raised her hand, a stranger stopped her. At the same time, her uncle also noticed what she was doing and angrily wanted to teach her a lesson, but the man stopped him in time. He took the girl into the room, signaling for her to be quiet. When he came out, the girl saw the man with a face covered in blood. From then until today, 6 years have passed. The female lead, Song Yi, secretly returned to the country, wanting to enter the Wu Lin Corporation to investigate the cause of her mother's death. Unexpectedly, she ran into a playboy who wanted to take advantage of her. Song Yi secretly used a mini-camera to record evidence of him taking bribes and harassing her. But unexpectedly, the playboy discovered it. Panicked, the girl could only hold a knife to threaten him, saying that she had uploaded the evidence to the cloud. While they were struggling, two men suddenly appeared. The playboy recognized that it was General Manager Su of the Wu Lin Corporation and hurriedly got out of the car. Your car ran over my grass. I was so careless. This must be a rare type of grass, right? How much should I pay for it? No need. Since you're here, have a cup of tea before you leave. I also have something I want to talk to you about. Seeing this, Song Yi wanted to sneak away, but as soon as she got out of the car, she saw the figure of that man walking towards her against the light. Every step he took carried an invisible pressure. Images from 6 years ago flashed through Song Yi's mind. General Manager Su had sent her abroad, hoping she would forget everything and live happily. But Song Yi was determined to investigate her mother's death. You pretended to adopt me, to make me trust you. Then, 3 years ago, you stole my mother's share from me, sent me abroad. What else do you want? Fan Yu, heartbroken, ignored the knife piercing his chest, hugged Song Yi tightly, and whispered for her to leave immediately. That Wu Lin was not a good place. Let me tell you, I would rather die than leave. Don't even think about controlling me now. Aren't you tired of this farce of playing the family role? Song Yi's words were like thousands of needles piercing his heart. The extreme pain left him speechless, and he could only watch helplessly as she ran away. At this moment, the assistant told him that Manager Wang's tea had gone bad. That's right, he could tolerate her unconditionally, but that didn't mean he would spare those who had once hurt her. General Manager Su quickly returned to his usual cold demeanor. As for the Playboy Manager Wang, he trembled while holding the hot teacup, not knowing what to do. At the same time, Song Yi brought the evidence to her best friend, and the two of them entered Wu Lin's press conference together. She wanted to take this opportunity to approach General Yang Na. Unexpectedly, as soon as she entered the door, she saw that man. This is my boyfriend. I don't think I've ever heard you mention him before, because I don't let him mention it. It seems your girlfriend is quite individualistic, because I have an uncle that is not so simple. Why have you never mentioned me before? He's dead. At this moment, General Manager Su couldn't restrain his anger and, ignoring everyone's gazes, dragged Song Yi away, took out an airplane ticket, and forced her to leave that night. What right do you have? Relying on the fact that I'm your dead uncle. Song Yi was speechless and about to leave when Fan Yu stopped her. He also told her not to wear dresses like that anymore in the future. Song Yi was not to be outdone and pretended to take off her clothes right in front of him. When Fan Yu saw that she was really doing it, he turned his face away. Song Yi seized the opportunity and quickly slipped away. This kind of affection was 3 parts helplessness and 7 parts indulgence. At this time, Boss Yang was introducing Wu Lin Corporation's newly launched product. She suddenly stopped in the middle of the introduction because she didn't know how to answer next. Just at this moment, Song Yi quickly stepped forward to rescue Boss Yang, and she clearly introduced the fragrance of the upcoming perfume. Yang Na had no other choice but to introduce Song Yi as a new member of the corporation. So Song Yi succeeded in her first step. Just as she was introducing the new product, Fan Yu stepped forward. Because of the deep misunderstanding in Song Yi's heart for Boss Su, she said words that implicitly provoked him. This perfume is named Live Today, No Tomorrow, where light and shadow intertwine without interfering with each other. Fan Yu said nothing, only silently letting her have her moment of triumph. After that, she was taken into his car. What exactly does he want to do? To the airport. Regardless of what Song Yi said, Fan Yu didn't care about her words and continued to drive to the airport. Just at this moment, Xiao Fei rushed out and stopped the car. After a while, the two men talked to each other. Fan Yu was still unmoved and continued to drive away. The female lead kept speaking up, asking what right he had to always interfere in her life. As long as you're not married, I will still interfere. At this moment, the female lead decided to secretly marry to escape the constraints of this non-blood related uncle. Standing in front of Xiao Fei, Song Yi asked him if he would marry her. The The guy was a little surprised, but then he quickly regained his composure, quickly took out the necklace from his neck, knelt down, and asked Song Yi, "Please marry me." Seeing that Song Yi agreed, Xiao Fei was overjoyed, while Fan Yu's expression was a little unsightly. Song Yi still didn't know the true feelings that her non-blood-related uncle had for her, so she constantly attacked him. The assistant understood General Manager Su's mood and asked him what to do next, but Fan Yu seemed to have his own path planned. The spoiled part needs to be cut off in time. The softer you are, the faster the flower withers. The next day, Song Yi and Xiao Fei went to try on wedding dresses. The female lead seemed apologetic because she knew she didn't love Xiao Fei at all. He was just a pawn for her, despite Fan Yu. When Xiao Fei finished a phone call and ran in, he couldn't find Song Yi. It turned out that she had been kidnapped by Yang Na subordinates, because Yang Na couldn't accept the fact that her man had been stolen by Song Yi. The female lead was being submerged in water and thought she was about to have no chance of survival when our male lead appeared in time, because of a misunderstanding that Song Yi had caused him injury. Afterward, Fan Yu once again reminded her that Xiao Fei could not protect her. Then he slowly approached Song Yi, looking at her with a sad look that made her scared to back away. He said, "Marrying someone you don't love will make you regret it." At this moment, the past from 3 years ago also came rushing back. At that moment, she was very nervous and happy when she spoke her confession to him. Remembering it made her heartbroken, and she asked him how he knew she didn't love Xiao Fei. He looked at Song Yi with a look as if he knew everything about her, because I know what the look is like for the one you love. That's right, the look Song Yi gave Xiao Fei was not the same as the look she gave him 3 years ago. It's a pity that he cruelly rejected the sincerity she had for him. Feeling uncomfortable, Song Yi admitted that she didn't love Xiao Fei, but what if she was just using him? Finally, Fan Yu's plan succeeded. Xiao Fei heard all these words. Song Yi angrily slapped her non-blood-related uncle because he deliberately treated her that way. Even though he knew the truth that Song Yi didn't love him, Xiao Fei still wanted to marry her, even though the female lead wanted to cancel it. Xiao Fei once again expressed his feelings. On the other side, when Yang Na failed to have her subordinates deal with Song Yi, she was very angry. But when she saw Xiao Fei, she changed her attitude, saying that his eyes and his teacher's eyes were very similar. Even the woman he liked was the same. Xiao Fei quickly made an excuse to refuse to stay and quietly left. Today, the wedding day of the two came. Just as Song Yi couldn't fasten the back button of her dress, Fan Yu was behind her helping her. After that, he asked Song Yi one more time, "Have you really thought it through?" But she ignored him. And of course, he wouldn't easily let the person he loved marry someone else like that. Yang Na naturally appeared, demanding to take her away because 5 million in the company's account suddenly went into her personal account. Just as the female lead was surprised, Fan Yu put the rings on his own hands. Then he said that the 5 million was the gift he gave the bride, then took out the rings and put them on the bride himself. Then he said that today was his wedding with Song Yi, which made her extremely stunned, because everything he had planned in advance. The groom Xiao Fei was absent because of his call, because he knew about the not-so-simple relationship between Xiao Fei and Yang Na. That's when Fan Yu forced Song Yi into the wedding hall. Seeing that Song Yi kept resisting, the guy just picked up the bride to get things moving. Xiao Fei could only stand by and watch from distance. Everyone was whispering because at the last minute, the groom had changed. As for Song Yi, she just thought he was trying to interfere in her life in every way possible. But the female lead didn't know that for him, being by her side, being her groom, that was what he had always dreamed of. But for many reasons that haven't been revealed, he was forced to put on the coldest and most heartless mask for her. Even 3 years ago, even though the female lead begged and pleaded, he still didn't soften because he knew that only by doing that would Song Yi be safe. But how could the female lead understand his heart? Right at that moment, as requested, the groom kissed the bride. Song Yi hurriedly ran away, but Fan Yu pulled her into his arms, placing a sweet kiss on her lips, causing everyone to clap and congratulate their happiness. But they didn't know that it was just a fake kiss. Seeing them together, Xiao Fei heartbrokenly left the wedding reception. While sadly playing the piano, Yang Na came to bother him. Even though he tried to avoid her, Yang Na didn't give up at all, advising Xiao Fei that the best way to forget someone is to accept a better woman. Even so, Xiao Fei at this time still always wanted to keep his distance and always rejected her. After everything was done, Song Yi questioned him about it, but Fan Yu plainly said that if she wanted to stay, then she could only be by his side. The female lead still didn't realize the feelings in his heart from this overbearing and dominant action. She threw the ring back at him and turned around to leave. Because in the female lead's heart, Fan Yu from 6 years ago and now only sees her as family. That night, Song Yi was startled by the thunder and lightning. Seeing him come to her side, she quickly ran into his arms. After he comforted her, she suddenly woke up and pulled away, saying that she wasn't afraid of thunder anymore. But then she crawled under the covers and completely hid. He quietly lit a candle, then took off his jacket and gave it to her. Seeing this, Song Yi misunderstood and thought he was planning to do something with her. She quickly spoke up to clarify that they just had a fake marriage. Seeing this, Fan Yu even deliberately stepped closer, making viewers eagerly wait, but who knew he was just giving her the jacket. Early the next morning, Yang Na suddenly came looking for him. Song Yi recalled her actions last night with Fan Yu. Because she misunderstood their relationship, she thought Yang Na was his ex. The female lead quickly played the role of a good wife, saying, "Look, she's telling us to separate." Fan Yu also played along, which surprised her. The two looked at each other. There was some kind of invisible feeling between them. Even though she had just showered, but facing the person she loved at such a close distance, the feeling of heat inside was clearly showing with beads of sweat. Seeing the two of them so close, Boss Yang had no choice but to leave. Right then, Fan Yu spoke up, "Drive carefully, stepmother." She was extremely surprised and felt embarrassed because of this terrible misunderstanding. She scolded him for not telling her sooner. Then, he got to the main point, asking Song Yi why she wanted to return to the company. Seeing her ignore his question, he quickly moved forward, snatching the pastry from her hand. Maybe eating a pastry from the hand of the person you love tastes better. Before leaving, Fan Yu said that he had thought things through about her situation, so after the 7-day wedding vacation ended, he would let her freely go to work at the company. The female lead was half believing, half doubting, so she always tried to sneak away, but never succeeded. But she didn't give up because of that. Losing this round, she would try another. Unexpectedly, it backfired because Fan Yu understood her better than anyone, and her little tricks didn't fool him. So, there was no other way. Song Yi had to accept it, counting down the days, waiting for the 7-day vacation to pass. Even though Xiao Fei came and offered to take her out, Song Yi refused because she didn't want her affairs to involve him. Today, Song Yi officially came to the company. The first thing she did was go in her mother's old research room. Unexpectedly, Boss Yang had deliberately set a trap, causing Song Yi and Xiao Fei to lose consciousness. Then, she deliberately tried to create discord between the two at the meeting, suggesting that there was something shady going on between them, suddenly absent together. Then, she sent people to find them, and of course, they couldn't be found because the two had been taken behind the curtain right before the meeting. Just when Song Yi thought they were going to be done for, an image of Yang Na appeared on the screen. Embarrassed, she quickly worried about her image. Because of this, everyone present left. Then, he called the two of them outside. Just as the two were about to leave, he pulled Song Yi down into a chair. Seeing this, Xiao Fei stopped, but he was chased out. Then, he looked at the female lead with a look that was both worried and angry, then slowly pulled up the strap of her dress for her. Then, he asked, "Is this the reason you came back to the company?" He reproached her, "You fell for even this low-level trap." Seeing that Song Yi had buttoned her shirt wrong, he gently came closer to fix it for her. Even though he appeared cold and hid the feelings he had for her, his eyes couldn't control it. Before leaving, he advised Song Yi to stay away from Yang Na. Over here, Yang Na, having lost the project, came to Fan Yu to question him. But Fan Yu said that the Wu Ling group was the hard work of his parents, so he wouldn't allow anyone to destroy it. She had just threatened Song Yi and wanted to fire her. "But if you touch my people, then I won't let you go." These words caused Song Yi, who was outside the door, to be extremely surprised. She really didn't understand what this non-blood related uncle felt for her. Song Yi's incident from 3 years ago, where she was being followed, hadn't been investigated yet. If she stayed at the company, the past would repeat, and she would be in danger. But this time, Fan Yu wasn't going to avoid it anymore. He decided to keep the person he loved by his side, and would use his own way to protect her. At this time, after learning some of the truth about Fan Yu, Song Yi was happy to know that he cared about her. The female lead wanted to apologize to him, but didn't have the courage to say it, so she had to borrow alcohol to say what she wanted to say. A little tipsy, she entered his room, saying that she had something to say. Unexpectedly, he told her to read Newton's second law. It turned out that he was also a little high from the alcohol. The two of them just talked about Newton's law together, and after a while, she emptied the bottle of wine in her hand. Just as she was about to go get another bottle, he pulled her back. The two looked into each other's eyes. The alcohol led the way, and Song Yi gently touched his lips. That touch awakened the long-suppressed emotions within him. Just like that, they enjoyed the sweet feeling together. Waking up the next morning, Song Yi didn't remember anything about last night. Seeing what was in front of her, she mistakenly thought that something had happened between the two of them last night. Happily and shyly smiling in happiness, because she had loved him since 3 years ago, and that feeling had never been replaced. So, she hurried to find him. Fan Yu's ambiguous words made her misunderstand even more. But in reality, nothing had happened between them last night like she thought. Fan Yu was a gentleman after all. Even though he loved her, he couldn't take advantage of the situation and take her because of the alcohol. The two of them were embarrassed because of this matter. So much so that she wanted to water the flowers, and he awkwardly cut off all the flowers. Over here, Yang Na was outsmarted by Fan Yu, and she couldn't swallow this anger. So, she looked for a way to plot a counterattack. So, the innocent Song Yi was hooked. Thinking that she had accidentally overheard Yang Na's plan to frame Fan Yu, she eagerly wanted to help him. So, the meeting with Boss Lu began. But he wasn't easy to deal with, deliberately forcing her to drink alcohol because he wanted to sign the contract. Song Yi had to comply, but just as the alcohol was brought to her mouth, it was emptied by Fan Yu, who drank it for her. But he went back on his word. As soon as Song Yi handed him the pen to sign the contract, he deliberately made it difficult by dropping the pen into the hot pot. Even though Song Yi wanted to get him another pen, Boss Liu didn't agree and still wanted to use the pen in the hot pot and demanded that President Su take it out himself. Hearing this, Song Yi angrily threw the glass of water in his face, because from the beginning, he had no intention of signing this contract. Seeing his underlings rush in, President Su spoke up, "If anything happens to us today, I guarantee you won't be able to leave here." President Su's powerful warning made him not dare to act rashly and told his underlings to step aside. After going outside, the female lead apologized to him for what happened just now, thinking that she had ruined the contract. But after hearing Fan Yu say that this was just a plan they had orchestrated, Song Yi suddenly remembered what had happened this morning. She happily said that she would take responsibility for him to the end. These words made Fan Yu's heart flutter, and his eyes showed an unusual expression. After the female lead left, he was still deep in thought about that phrase, take responsibility. It turned out that Song Yi wanted to play a game of flipping the table on Yang Na, tying her up and disguising herself as Boss Liu, questioning her while recording her confessing to framing Fan Yu. Yang Na even wanted Boss Liu to kick him out of the company and promised that she would repay him both the principal and the interest in the future. After getting solid evidence from Yang Na's mouth, Song Yi also appeared. Yang Na's words were all being live-streamed. After the board of directors watched it, along with the evidence of her embezzlement, everyone unanimously fired Yang Na. She was played hard and was extremely angry, threatening to accuse her of illegal kidnapping. But Song Yi wasn't worried, because this was her house, and these items were just borrowed from her house for the time being. But how could Yang Na let a little brat blatantly frame her? On the way home, a car rushed towards her. A bald guy with a stick came forward. Song Yi only had one way to escape. Luckily, at this time, a car stopped in front of her. It was the assistant that Fan Yu had told to come pick her up, and he was entering Yang Na's house. At this time, she had already finished packing her luggage and was preparing to escape, but she was one step too late. After dealing with Yang Na, Fan Yu didn't want to cause any more misunderstandings, so he returned Song Yi's freedom. Feeling lost, Song Yi coldly returned the wedding ring and turned to leave. Even though hurt, he still tried to suppress his emotions, because once she was by his side, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to fully protect her, while the person who wanted to harm Song Yi 3 years ago still hadn't been found. Remembering 3 years ago, someone had used the unparalleled rose to threaten him. He knew Song Yi's every move, and it was because of this that he buried his feelings in his heart, rejected the confession of the person he loved, and even pushed the person he loved most abroad. Just as he was looking at the watch that Song Yi gave him, she was quietly standing behind him. She once again asked him about what happened that night. This time, he decisively answered that nothing had happened that night, which made her a little disappointed. Then she said that she knew everything he had done. It turned out that the assistant couldn't stand the fact that Song Yi was constantly misunderstanding the feelings that Fan Yu had for her. From beginning to end, he did everything for her, but he was stubborn and never said it, always appearing cold, causing her to misunderstand him deeply. She said, "That day, you made me leave you, misunderstand you, hate you, resent you, because you were afraid that I would love you, because you also have me in your heart." Feeling like the truth had been discovered, Fan Yu felt extremely uneasy. But then he regained his composure, said, "You're really just overthinking things," and hurriedly fled from his throbbing heart. When Song Yi learned the truth, she was extremely happy, thinking to herself, "This time, you can't escape me." So, the next day, she took advantage of the two of them having dinner and deliberately said her hand was wet, asking him to help her tie the ribbon behind her. Looking at her sexy bare back, he reached out to do it, but then realized that it was her trick, so he handed Song Yi a tissue. The seduction plan failed, but the female lead didn't give up. While eating, she deliberately moved closer to him. Seeing this, President Su spoke up, wanting to know what she was planning to do. The female lead deliberately attacked, but he stopped her. "Do you know what you're doing?" At this time, Song Yi used the excuse that she just wanted to get something, asking him what he was thinking. The male lead got up and left. Seeing this, Song Yi went big, taking off her shoes and planning to jump into the pool. Just at this moment, he hurriedly rushed forward to catch her. The two looked at each other again with emotion. He asked, "Have you played enough?" The female lead took off his glasses, smirked, and said, "Why are you so nervous?" Because he was facing the person he loved right in front of him. How could he not be nervous? Luckily, a phone call helped him sober up. It seemed that the female lead was attacking and wanted him to personally admit his true feelings. The next day at the fragrance evaluation, Boss Wu didn't care about Song Yi's sample. When she found out that she was the one fan he was keeping, she directly threw it in the trash. How could Song Yi accept this? She quickly spoke up to reason. Boss Wu happened to throw a glass of water at Song Yi, but President Sue caught it all. It can be seen that when you really love someone, all their gestures and actions are within their control, and President Sue was no exception. Accidentally, Song-yi overheard a conversation. It turned out that Boss Woo wanted to have a business marriage with President Sue, but he said that he was already married and didn't want to be involved in this commercial marriage. But he still had concerns in his heart, worrying about Song-yi. Just as the assistant asked if he was worried that Song-yi would be jealous, "Why would I worry about her being jealous? Then why aren't you afraid of me being jealous?" Seeing the face of the person he loved in front of him, he was a little surprised. She gently tended to his burn, and Fan Yu felt like something was stirring in his heart, and his emotions surged. The past about the person he loved flooded back, causing him to be immersed in memories. It wasn't until Song-yi pulled his shirt that he suddenly woke up. Afterwards, when she heard the news that President Sue was going on a business trip with Boss Woo, Song-yi insisted on going with him. During the struggle, she even pulled him down onto the bed, but even so, she still couldn't change anything. Those two still went on the business trip together. Boss Woo took advantage of the business trip and deliberately flirted with President Sue, but he flatly refused. "I'm already married." Even so, Boss Woo still wanted to get him. She didn't hesitate to say that she would wait for him to get a divorce. Then she gave him an ultimatum, giving him 3 days to think about it. Otherwise, he knew what would happen to the business cooperation between the two families. Just at this time, Song-yi called, saying that she was in danger. President Sue rushed to the meeting point as fast as he could, but it was just a joke. President Sue remembered Song-yi from the past. Even so, he still scolded her for playing such a joke. The female lead didn't know that to him. She was everything. The two were walking when they met a young man who came up to talk. Seeing that Song-yi was beautiful, he asked for her WeChat to get to know her, but Fan Yu stopped him, using the excuse that he was still young and should focus on his studies. The kid next to him heard this and said that he was old enough, over 18, and had the freedom to date. Faced with this situation, President Sue agreed on the condition that he could win against him. So, a game of basketball for a woman began. President Sue threw the ball, and it went right into the net, causing Song-yi to praise him without end. Just at this moment, the school administrator chased after them, thinking that they were skipping school to date. So, the couple had the chance to hold hands and run away together, as if they had been caught doing something sneaky. After the two separated, they were both very embarrassed. At this time, Song-yi discovered that his heart was beating very fast, but President Sue refused to admit it. She kept avoiding intimate contact with the person she loved. Then, he went to dig up the item that she had hidden 3 years ago. Seeing the blue rose in front of him, the past flooded back. The death of Song-yi's mother had always been his obsession over the years. It was because he was stuck in the past that he thought that he and Song-yi could never be together if she knew the truth about it. The next day, Song-yi accidentally discovered a bottle of perfume that her mother had given her before, intending to give it to her daughter, a perfume with a unique scent. The female lead happily used it at her date with President Sue. It turned out that he had asked her out to return the ownership of the house and shares of the company, but Song-yi refused to accept them. She knew that he wanted to break off their relationship decisively. So, the female lead said that she also had a gift she wanted to give him. Not seeing any gift, she blindfolded President Sue and led him into her room. Seeing everything in front of him, President Sue understood what she wanted, but he flirtatiously turned away. Song-yi pushed him onto the bed. Faced with this situation, President Sue spoke up. "Have you thought this through?" Hearing her answer, he immediately flipped Song-yi onto the bed. President Sue's next actions made her clench her fists. He said, "Scared now?" Even though she was very uneasy and worried in her heart, she still boldly said that she wasn't scared. Even so, President Sue still stopped and said, "You're so scared, but you still don't agree to a divorce?" It turned out that along with the transfer documents, there was also a divorce agreement. Seeing this, Song-yi was unwilling and wanted to salvage the relationship, but she failed. The next day, the female lead accidentally overheard a conversation between the leaders. Boss Woo once again used the negotiation job to force President Sue to have a business marriage with her. Because if her father didn't step in this time, the career that President Sue's parents had built up for their entire lives might not be able to be kept. Before the urging of the board of directors, Song-yi rushed in, saying that she had the unparalleled rose. These words surprised everyone, because if the unparalleled rose project was restarted, the future would be limitless. After the meeting, President Sue asked her where she was going to get the unparalleled rose to give them in 3 days. The female lead calmly replied, "I thought you had it," making him extremely uncomfortable because he had stopped this project a long time ago, because it was related to that painful past. After calming down, he once again asked Song-yi to sign the divorce papers. He would find a way to solve everything else himself, but Song-yi tore them up right in front of him, because at this time, she already knew that it had done a lot of things for her, including accepting a divorce in order to protect her. So this time she decided to face it. And the next day, the female lead accidentally overheard a call between President Sue and Boss Woo. Song Yi was very curious, wondering what secret they had. While she was thinking, Wu Di called and invited her to meet tomorrow night. It turned out that she was setting a trap, wanting their relationship to break down. Let's bet. An hour later, who will Su Fan you choose, me or you? Song Yi thought that he would choose her, but Wu Di thought that she was too complacent. Because the company was the life's work of his parents, he would definitely not lose everything because of her. After that, President Su arrived, but Wu Di used childish tricks, trapping him. Song Yi was his weakness, so Fan Yu accepted her request. Far away, the female lead couldn't hear this conversation. Seeing the two of them leave hand in hand, Song Yi felt like she had fallen from a great height and was extremely disappointed. It turned out that in his heart, the company was always more important than her. From this moment on, the string of feelings in her heart for him was cut off, and she only knew how to use alcohol to forget the pain in her heart. But Song Yi didn't know that, in order to save her, Fan Yu, while collecting data to give to the police, was blocked by a group of Wu Di's henchmen. After solving everything and running to the place, she had already been taken away by Xiao Fei. The male lead hurriedly went to find Wu Di, angrily asking her where she had taken Song Yi, but she was stubborn, claiming that she didn't do anything. But she had reached his limit. Even though the Wu group had shares of his for Fan Yu at this moment, it was no longer important. Even though Wu Di tried to stop him, saying that he was kicking over his own rice bowl, he said, "I don't need anything now," and turned to leave. Just at this moment, the police rushed in and arrested her. Fan Yu hurriedly ran home, wanting to explain the misunderstanding to Song Yi. But when he saw the blue rose that he had always hidden in front of her, Fan Yu's mood instantly collapsed. He was no longer calm and couldn't give her any explanation because the painful memories of the past were torturing him. Song Yi had layers of misunderstandings in her heart. She casually threw away the watch that she had given him before. She said, "Let's get a divorce." Finally, she ended this not-so-good relationship and left. After calming down, Fan Yu, regardless of the rain and wind, rushed out to find the watch that he considered to be a memento of their love. And Song Yi had chosen to return to her old house from before. The next day, the old teacher invited everyone to dinner. Song Yi was very surprised to see Fan Yu appear, because in the teacher's eyes, Fan Yu was her uncle. Seeing that the two seemed to be strangers, Teacher Lang spoke up and asked if the two were angry with each other. She used an excuse to get through it. In the stifling atmosphere, the female lead couldn't stand it and hurriedly asked to go to the bathroom. Just at this moment, a server bumped into her. Without thinking much, Song Yi rushed out to shield Xiao Fei. This action angered Fan Yu, who hurriedly pulled her outside. He covered her burn with ice and said, "Is it worth it for a man?" Song Yi said that there was no relationship between them now, and who she liked was her own business. He was jealous that his woman liked another man, and then declared that they would have nothing to do with each other from now on. Faced with her harsh words, Fan Yu couldn't restrain himself and rushed forward to kiss her intensely. Even though Song Yi pushed him away, he still wouldn't let go. And in the end, he received a slap for his reckless kissing. Seeing Xiao Fei and Song Yi leave, his heart became empty again. He didn't understand why everything inside him felt so hollow at this moment. Maybe from this moment on, he had to face the feelings in his heart and couldn't keep running away. So he went to her house, just in time to see Song Yi drunkenly fall into Xiao Fei's arms. Looking to the side, he saw that everything related to him had been thrown away by her. It seemed that this time, Song Yi really wanted to end everything with him. With a jumble of emotions in his heart, he could only borrow alcohol to forget. The assistant saw that his mood was getting worse and worse and advised President Su to face his heart. After a moment of contemplation, he put on that watch and decided to face his true feelings. Early the next morning, he went to her door, but the person who opened the door was Xiao Fei. He advised him not to bother Song Yi anymore. He and she were in the past now. Just as the two were arguing at the door, Song Yi came out and bluntly told him to leave. But once President Su made up his mind, how could he give up so easily? Just as she was about to eat the soup that Xiao Fei had cooked, he walked in, poured it out himself, and said that he would make something else for her to eat because there was shrimp in the soup and she was allergic to it. Even so, he was still kicked out of the house 30 seconds later. The assistant saw that the President Su, who was usually so cold and heartless, was now so shameless in order to pursue his wife. He couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. After that, Fan Yu met with Xiao Fei privately. It turned out that President Su had investigated and found out that the person behind everything was him. It was him who restarted the unparalleled rose and sent the pictures of Song Yi to threaten him 3 years ago. President Su planned to tell Song Yi everything about his true colors. But Xiao Fei also grasped his weakness because the death of Song Tong, Song Yi's mother, was still a mystery. He asked him if he could explain it clearly to her. Faced with this situation, President Su had to remain silent and could only watch them leave. That night, Song Yi read her mother's diary, knowing that her mother had prepared a birthday gift for her. She hurried to get it, Just then, the two men met again. President Su now knew Xiao Fei's true colors. The reason he tried to approach Song, it was also because of the unparalleled Rose Project. President Su would definitely remove his fake mask and let Song Yi know. But at this time, he couldn't do anything because the person Song Yi trusted was Xiao Fei, this two-faced villain. Seeing the blue rose that her mother left behind, President Su was once again knocked unconscious by the past. Waking up the next morning, he heard the assistant say that Song Yi had taken him home last night and taken care of him all night. But when he found out that she had left as soon as the assistant arrived, President Su didn't like the assistant anymore, ruining her chance to be by his side. At this time, Song Yi was thinking about the password to open the birthday gift her mother left behind. After many tries, the female lead finally found the password hidden inside the special gift, which was a USB drive. Song Yi hurriedly opened it. It turned out that the gift her mother wanted to give her was the unparalleled Rose Project. Out of curiosity, Song Yi called Fan Yu, wanted to ask him about things related to the unparalleled Rose. Hearing this truth, Xiao Fei revealed his true colors. He was the one who drove the motorcycle into Song Yi in order to steal the USB in her hand. Just as Fan Yu appeared, Xiao Fei injured his hand. He seized the opportunity to grab the bag and run away. Worried, Song Yi hurried to ask him how he was, but the anger in her heart was still there. Over here, Xiao Fei was very excited to have a USB. His long-cherished plan was about to succeed. But how could President Su let it go so easily? He told his assistant to investigate the clues about that motorcycle. At this time, Song Yi brought medicine to treat his wound, then coldly walked away. Fan Yu hurriedly explained the warehouse incident that night. He had fallen into Wu Di's trap, so he couldn't find you. But the female lead ignored his words, thinking that it was no longer important to her, since he wanted to divorce her from the beginning. He gently stepped forward, explaining the reason that because you're too young and don't understand what love is, I was afraid you would mistake reliance on me for love. Song Yi shook off his hand and said, I used to need you very much, but by your side I was really tired. After speaking, the female lead turned and left. With no other way to get Song Yi to forgive him, Fan Yu planned to throw himself into the pool. He wanted to bet on whether the feelings in her heart were really for him. As expected, Song Yi hesitated for a moment and finally rushed towards him. The two fell to the ground together. At this time, President Su also knew the answer about the feelings that the girl in front of him had for him. You care about me that much? Song Yi didn't answer, planning to leave. But he pushed her down on the grass and directly used a kiss to express his feelings. The two let the feelings of love speak, and they enjoyed the sweet kisses they gave each other. It seemed that Song Yi was no longer angry with this non-blood-related uncle. After one night, until morning, Xiao Fei still couldn't find important data that he needed to find. While he was angry, the assistant and President Su arrived outside. After President Su instructed the assistant to do something, he went inside alone. At this time, Xiao Fei didn't say much and called President Su his brother. Finally, the secret between the two brothers was exposed. Xiao Fei reproached Fan Yu for never seeing him as family. No matter what Fan Yu explained, he wouldn't believe it because the hatred blinded him, thinking that his father gave everything to him, while his younger brother had nothing. He angrily wanted to know where the unparalleled Rose data was, whether it was in Fan Yu's hands. Even though President Su said that it didn't exist, how could he believe it? In a fit of anger, he threw the USB forward. While President Su was searching for it, he poured a can of oil and directly lit it, with the crazy intention of wanting his brother to disappear from the earth forever. But the director disappointed him, and he couldn't escape that easily either. Just at this moment, Song Yi was informed by the assistant and hurried to find him. The female lead saw Fan Yu and hurriedly pulled him out of there, scolding him for making her worry. But Fan Yu gave her the USB and said, "Your affairs are more important than anything. I don't want to miss anything about you." Words that any girl wants to hear from the person she loves. Song Yi was no exception, and she responded to him with a happy kiss. The two finally understood each other's feelings for each other. They left the misunderstandings and grievances of the past to the past. Now, they only felt love and happiness. Finally, they were both ready, and tonight, they officially belonged to each other.